Welcome back to another episode of the Creepy Marathon Month. For anyone who's new here, every October, this channel produces a video every single day in the run-up to Halloween. We call it the Creepy Marathon Month. So without further ado, enjoy these 5 scary and strange true horror stories, footage and encounters. If you haven't already done so, hit those likes, sit back and enjoy. EMT Sees a Ghost. The following footage was uploaded to TikTok by Tennessee EMT Japrin. He and his partner were on their way back to the base in their ambulance when Japrin caught a chilling sight in the rearview mirror. Something or someone was moving in the back. Terrified, the pair abandoned the vehicle, leaving its lights still flashing as they bolted down the road. Take a look at the footage they captured and the genuine terror in Japrin's voice as he attempts to get back into the ambulance.
I'm not sure how to talk about this, but well, first off, I've been an EMT just for a little bit, and like I ain't never experienced nothing like this. So as we driving back to base, I swear I seen a face in the rearview mirror. Like,
tell me as soon as you can.
I need to turn this engine off though, cause like we're gonna be stranded out here.
Yeah, as soon as possible.
Oh shit.
Hey, thank you.
I'm not trying to go back near this truck.
As you can see, whatever was present caused him to flee again, and what happens next seems to confirm his fears.
I don't know if you see it, but can y'all see that back door? Like, it just, oh shit. Like, it just flew open, like, can y'all, oh. Nah, what the what was that?
It's hard to see, but the back of the ambulance door appeared to open on its own. Some people believe this is the unseen hands of a former patient. Now, this isn't the first time a spirit has lingered in an ambulance. After all, these vehicles carry the injured, the dying, and sometimes those who do not survive the journey. In many traditions, when death happens quickly or in a state of turmoil, it's believed that the spirits linger. They are restless and unsettled, unable to move on from the trauma of their demise. So is this what happened to Japri and his colleague? Some believe this is a hoax, others believe this is one of the genuine ones. What do you think? The San Antonio's Railroad Children. And this is a creepy story. It's the legend of San Antonio's railway children, and it centers on a tragic accident said to have occurred in the 1930s or 1940s near the city's south side. According to the story, a school bus carrying children stalled on the railroad tracks at the intersection of Shane Road and Villamain Road, just south of San Antonio. The bus driver noticed a train barreling towards them and rushed to get the children off the bus, but there was not enough time and the train crashed into the bus, killing 10 of the students along with the driver. In another version of this incident, the bus driver is a nun driving the children home from a field trip. As the bus stalls on the tracks, the nun makes a desperate attempt to start the bus, but before she could, the train slammed into it, splitting the vehicle in half. She was thrown through the windshield and survived, but all the children were killed instantly. A few weeks later, overwhelmed by grief and guilt, the nun supposedly returned to the site of the accident. Unable to carry on with life, she decided to end it and parked her car on the tracks, waiting for a train. When it finally came, rushing towards her, just as it had that night, she suddenly heard the faint voices of children, and her car began to move forward, as though unseen hands were pushing it from behind. It rolled into safety, just as the train thundered past. Stunned, the nun got out, expecting to thank someone for saving her, but there was no one there. As she looked back at her car, she saw small handprints pressed into the trunk. In that moment, she understood. The spirits of the children she had lost had saved her. From then on, she devoted her life to helping others, opening a school for orphans where she taught until her death. Now, over the years, this tragedy has become the foundation for one of San Antonio's most enduring ghost stories. Locals believe that if a car is stopped on the tracks at this site, it will mysteriously be pushed to safety by the unseen hands of the lost children. Drivers who test this spot often sprinkle baby powder on their bumpers or trunks, and later claim to find small handprints left behind, as the spirits of the children pressed against the car to help move it. Despite its popularity, researchers have found little historical evidence to confirm that such a bus crash ever happened in San Antonio. Newspaper archives and public records do not show a mass death of schoolchildren at the site, and some historians suggest that the story may have been transplanted from a documented 1938 bus train collision in Salt Lake City, Utah, in which more than 20 children were killed. Regardless, the railroad children legend, though lacking concrete evidence, remains a key part of San Antonio folklore. It attracts curious locals and tourists who want to explore the story. This one weaves together elements of superstition, grief, and the eerie atmosphere of an isolated crossing, making it one of the city's most famous ghost stories. I'd love to know if any of you have ever visited the site. The Ghost of Boothill Cemetery. This photograph is known as the Ghost of Boothill Cemetery. It was taken in 1996 at Boothill Graveyard in Tombstone, Arizona. This burial ground is famous for its ties to the Old West and the gunfight at the OK Corral, and the name Boothill comes from the idea that many of those buried there died with their boots on, implying they met a violent or unnatural death. The photograph in question was captured by Ike Clanton, a descendant of the Clanton family, who was conducting an Old West-style photo shoot among the cemetery's weathered gravestones. In the developed picture, a clear and unexpected figure appeared behind the subject, the faint semi-transparent image of a man dressed in period clothing, standing as though he was part of the scene. Clanton insisted that no such person was present at the time the photograph was taken. He later looked more closely at the photo and decided the figure was in fact holding a knife, with the point ending just above his collar. Even stranger, it seems like the figure is buried from the stomach down. The photograph quickly gained notoriety because of its setting and the clarity of the supposed apparition. For many paranormal enthusiasts, it was unusually compelling. The figure was proportionate, naturally posed and semi-transparent. Given Boothill's reputation for restless spirits, the picture was embraced by some as evidence of a haunting. Skeptics, however, offered a natural explanation, such as double exposure. Others suggest that the image could have been deliberately staged, pointing to the clarity and positioning of the figure. However, no conclusive proof of fraud has ever been found, and if not manipulated, it stands among the clearest examples of alleged ghost photography in modern times. Over the years, the image has been scrutinized, analyzed, and featured in paranormal television programs. Whether regarded as evidence of the supernatural or a clever photographic trick, the Ghost of Boothill Cemetery endures as one of the most famous ghost photographs of the late 20th century, a story that blends the haunted reputation of Tombstone with enduring fascination over life, death, and the possibility of lingering spirits. What do you make of this one? David Johnston's haunting last photo. Let's take a sidestep from the paranormal to take a look at something truly haunting. It's the thought that you never know when your end might come. and this was certainly true for David Johnston. David was an American volcanologist known for his meticulous work and talent as a scientist. He was an expert in analysing volcanic gases and their connection to eruptions, and was well respected and popular among his colleagues in the field. While in May 1980, Johnston was stationed at an observation post 6 miles from Mount St. Helens, an active stratovolcano located in Skarmanian County, Washington. He was sitting with his feet on a log, a notebook in hand, with his instruments, a camper, and a scout vehicle nearby, when this photograph was taken. Almost exactly 13 hours later, on May 18, 1980, the volcano erupted and killed 57 people, including David. Johnston was the first to report the eruption, transmitting "Vancouver, Vancouver, this is it," before he was swept away. Despite a thorough search, Johnston's body has never been found. Candle Cove. Back in the late 2000s, an unusual discussion thread began circulating online. It was formatted like a simple nostalgia forum, the kind where adults reminisced about half-remembered TV shows from their childhoods. The topic that started the conversation was an obscure program, supposedly from the early 1970s, a local children's show called Candle Cove. At first the thread seemed harmless. One user posted that they vaguely remembered watching the show as a child, recalling that it had a young girl as the main character. The girl, named Janice, would talk to puppets, and the whole thing was staged like a strange low-budget pirate adventure. Other posters chimed in with their own memories. They described a shabby set built to resemble a cove or harbour, with cardboard props and painted backdrops that looked flimsy even to the eyes of children. The character stood out the most in people's memories. There was Pirate Percy, a nervous, bumbling sailor with an oversized puppet head and a squeaky voice. There was also Horace Horrible, an antagonist who often schemed against the others, and a group of supporting puppets that made up the girl's strange little crew. But as the conversation continued, the tone shifted, and people began remembering darker, stranger elements of Candle Cove. One user asked if anyone else remembered a puppet called the Skin Taker. The name alone was unsettling, and those who replied confirmed that they remembered it vividly. The Skin Taker was described as a tall, skeletal figure with glassy eyes and a cloak made from scraps. Its jaw never seemed to move properly, always grinding side to side like it was chewing on something too tough. Another participant remembered that the character's name was not just suggestive. The Skin Taker would talk openly about wearing the skin of children, though this memory was fuzzy and fragmented. Other recollections emerged. One user said that they remembered an episode where the characters became trapped in a cave, and instead of dialogue or a story, the entire segment was filled with puppets screaming and crying in the dark, their faces illuminated only by flashes of dim light. It lasted for what felt like minutes, but children watching at the time accepted it without question, even if it left them disturbed. Someone else claimed they remembered watching an episode where the Skin Taker sailed a ship made of bones, drifting silently across the black ocean, while eerie, tuneless music played in the background. The thread grew more unnerving as these scattered memories piled up. The posters kept agreeing with one another, as if their fragmented recollections validated the strangeness. They admitted that the show had scared them, but each insisted that it was real, even if no one else they had talked to in adulthood had ever heard of it. The end of the thread came when one participant shared something that their mother had told them years later. According to her, whenever they had begged to watch the Candle Cove, she would let them sit in front of the television, but she swore that what she saw was never a broadcast show. Instead, they were sitting in front of a blank screen filled with static, whispering and muttering, as though responding to voices only they could hear. To her, there was no Candle Cove, no puppets, no Skin Taker, just a child staring into white noise. That revelation reframed all of the memories. If the parents never saw the show, and if no recordings existed, what exactly had the children been watching? Was Candle Cove a real broadcast lost to time? Or was it some kind of shared hallucination? Were the children being lured into something sinister that only they could perceive? their imaginations manipulated by whatever haunted the static. The forum thread ended without answers. No one ever found proof that Candle Code had aired. No listings, no tapes, no surviving props or production notes. All that remained were those unsettling shared memories, and the possibility that dozens of children in different places around the world had stared into television static and convinced themselves that they were watching a puppet show that whispered to them in the dark. Whether Candle Cove is a forgotten relic of television history, something more sinister, or a complete hoax, we don't exactly know. But one thing is for sure, it's one of the most chilling unresolved internet horror stories we've read about. The question is, do you remember Candle Cove?